Is bankruptcy a better alternative than debt settlement? Hi, I'm Jonathan Ginsberg. I'm an Atlanta area personal bankruptcy attorney. And the other day I was reading an article on the website nerdwallet.com by a woman named Liz Weston. And she had a very interesting premise in an article she wrote, and that was why debt settlement may be a less attractive alternative than bankruptcy. And at first, this didn't make a lot of sense to me because generally I think that if you can settle your debt and avoid filing bankruptcy, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But her point was, I think, pretty well taken, and that is that there are a couple problems with debt settlement that you might not have thought of. And here's what she pointed out, and I think that these do make sense. First of all, realize that when you're looking at a debt settlement, the debt you're dealing with is not just the actual debt that you owe. Over time, that debt will grow because there are going to be fees and costs and attorney's fees. And so what may have started out as $15,000 now may be $20,000 or $25,000 or even more. And if you figure on a debt settlement, you're going to be able to knock off 30 or 40%, let's say settle for, let's just say 60 or 70 cents on the dollar, the actual amount you're settling for may be pretty much what the actual underlying debt was when you originally incurred it. So you're not really saving a whole heck of a lot there when it comes to that. Secondly, when you settle debt, and this is not always true because there is an insolvency exception, but if you settle debt and you're not insolvent, the IRS will generally count the amount of the debt that you settle as ordinary income. And if you're paying it, let's say 25% at that marginal tax rate, you could get hit with a huge tax burden, a lump sum you've got to come up with on April 15th. So even though you've negotiated a debt settlement, and you paid a lump sum to make the debt go away, round two comes along, April 15th of the next year, you have a big tax debt. That is a problem. Number three is that debt settlement can take a long time. Bankruptcy, Chapter 7, for example, it will be over in 4 or 5 months. Chapter 13 could be 4 or 5 years, but in Chapter 7, 4 or 5 months. Debt settlement could take a year or two while you're negotiating. And what happens is the debts are sold. They're bought and sold by various vendors, and trying to find the actual person you can talk to and working out a deal, getting something in writing, getting the money paid, it can take a year, year and a half. If you have more than one creditor, you could be looking at negotiations over a year, year and a half, 5 or 6 different entities. And again, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of hassle. It could take an awful long time, and you may end up paying pretty much what you owed originally or even more. And you unfortunately could go through money that you otherwise could use down the road. For example, I've seen people cash out a 401k or retirement plan to make a lump sum payment to a credit card lender. That to me is crazy because money in a 401k retirement plan is going to be sheltered or exempt property in bankruptcy. So the point that Ms. Weston is making, I think, is well taken. That is, before jumping into a debt settlement program, especially with some of these companies you hear on the radio or TV talking about secrets their credit card companies don't want you to know, which, by the way, there are no secrets that they don't want you to know. But bottom line is, before entering into an agreement with one of these companies, talk to a bankruptcy lawyer, do a side-by-side comparison. Does bankruptcy make more sense? Is it faster, cheaper? Is it more efficient? Is it going to get you in and out and get your credit recovery starting a lot faster? That's the other thing. With bankruptcy and debt settlement, your credit's going to be trashed for a short period of time. With bankruptcy, I'm seeing people bounce back in 8 months or a year. With debt settlement, if it's going to take a year and a half, 2 years to get it done, your credit's going to be dinged for that much longer. Plus, of course, you're coming out of pocket. That's actually another big point. With a debt settlement, you've got to pay a bunch of money. So let's say you settle a $20,000 debt for $12,000, you got to come up with $12,000. By contrast, with bankruptcy, in a Chapter 7, for example, you're probably looking at $1,500, $2,000 total. Chapter 13 is going to be a little bit more than that, but again, it does more as well. So the point is when you look at debt settlement, you've got to look at it all the the issues, the pros and the cons. And again, there could be some argument made that a bankruptcy might be a more efficient and a less expensive way, and one that will allow you to recover from the process a lot faster in terms of your credit. So bankruptcy may be a better option. But again, not always in every case, and I think you need to talk to an attorney, talk to a bankruptcy attorney. People call me about this. I'm going to tell them the truth, that there's some advantages to death settlement, there's some advantages to bankruptcy. Here are the pros and cons. You have to make that decision. So anyway, I think that this article does bring some very relevant points. If you have any questions about, and I'll put a link to it in the materials below, but if you have any questions about debt settlement or bankruptcy or the pros and cons of either one, please feel free to reach out to us. We're at 770-393-4985. We represent folks needing to file bankruptcy or considering bankruptcy in the northern part of Georgia. And if you've not already done so, go to my website at www.atlanta-bankruptcy.com and download a copy of my free Debt Destroyer Survival Kit. I've got a lot of good information there. Like this video on YouTube if you did find it useful. Like our Facebook page. And again, if we can be helpful to you, please reach out to me or Susan Bloom directly. 770-393-4985. Thanks a lot. Hi, this is Jonathan, and I hope you found this video helpful. I'd like to invite you to download my free Debt Destroyer Survival Kit right now. I've packed my survival kit with answers to the questions I've heard from clients for over 25 years here in the Atlanta area. Inside the survival kit, you'll find clear, easy to understand answers to critical topics about how to solve debt problems once and for all, including how do I protect my stuff, my house, car, and personal property if I file for bankruptcy? Are there any legitimate alternatives to bankruptcy? Will I ever get credit again, and if so, when? What mistakes must I avoid to get the most benefit out of bankruptcy? You can claim your copy right now by visiting my atlanta-bankruptcy.com website. And you are always welcome to use the email form on my website to ask me anything about debt and personal bankruptcy in Atlanta. www.atlanta-bankruptcy.com. And as always, I wish you the best.